Hi, this is Mr. Millay, and here's your video review for your quiz tomorrow on AP US History. You need to know that the availability of steel played a huge part in consumer and industry rise during the time period that we've been studying. You need to know what a WASP is, White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Saxon Protestant. You need to know that people got a lot of cholera, typhoid fever, yellow fever from living in these tenements, these tight-fitting tenements. You need to know what nativism was. As far as matching, you need to know the following words: tenement, flop houses, Burlingame Treaty, which was a treaty that allowed unrestricted immigration of Chinese immigrants to work on the railroad. You need to know about the Working Men's Party of California, which pushed to make sure that Chinese workers were not allowed to come into the United States. You need to know what a Hull House was, who Florence Kelley, Clara Barton, and the Reverend Josiah Strong were. You need to know what the Chautauqua movement was, which was a big push for adult education, especially to teach literacy. You need to know what Darwinism is, what a fundamentalist was. You need to know what the Morrill Act was, which was a act that granted public land to states in order to create colleges. You need to know who Joseph Pulitzer, William Randolph Hearst, James A. Garfield were. Garfield was the second president to be assassinated during this time period. You need to know that the Red Stockings were the first professional baseball team. You need to know what prohibition is, what a sweatshop is. You need to know what xenophobia is. You need to know what the term novo rich, which means super rich, and new rich people. You know what vaudeville is? It's stage entertainment. You know who Carrie Nation, Victoria Woodhull were. Victoria Woodhull was a woman that wrote about women's issues in magazines. You know, the Comstock Law forbade any kind of provocative sexual material and discussion of birth control. You need to know that Wyoming was the first state that allowed women to vote, and that Kansas was the first state to put in prohibition laws. You need to know what yellow journalism was. You need to know why women were more likely than men to push for prohibition of alcohol. You need to know what life was like in a tenement. We talked about how it was terrible living conditions, dangerous, danger of fire, danger of disease, and just all sorts of problems. You need to know how education improved during this time period through greater funding and laws that made people go to school. You need to know the difference between new and old immigration. Remember, old immigration was from 1800 to 1880. New immigration from 1880 to 1910. New immigrants usually came in with a different religion. They came in because they had to. They tended to be poorer, and they tended to live in their own communities, whereas the old immigration tended to come from Western Europe. They tended to be Protestant. They tended to be able to learn the language very quickly, and they tended to assimilate fairly easily. Remember, we're not including Asian immigration when we talk about new or old immigration. We're talking about European. And if you study all of those things, you will be doing just fine for the quiz on Friday. It's a fairly short quiz, not a lot of information on this one.